Hey guys! So this week I thought we could do fairy tales, and so for my first book I'm going to do a little bit of a spin on a fairy tale, and it is the true story of the three little pigs. So you know the story about the three little pigs. The first little pig built his house out of straw. The second little pig built his house out of sticks, and the third little pig built his house out of, almost told you answer, bricks. Good. So the three little pigs, they built their houses out of straw, sticks, and bricks. And then the wolf came in, and he was like, well, he came to the first house, and he was like, hey, I'm gonna blow your house down. And then the first wolf was like, or no, that's not what happened. So what happened was, the wolf came to the first house and he was like, let me in, let me in. And then the little pig was like, not by the hair of my chinny chin chin. And then the wolf said, well, I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house in. And then he huffed and puffed, and because the house is built out of straw, he blew the house in. And then he went to the house of sticks and he said, let me in, let me in. And then the pig said, not by the hair of my chinny chin chin. And then the wolf said, well, I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house in. And then he went to the brick house, and then could he huff and puff and blow that house in? No. So he ended up gobbling up the pigs in some versions of the story. In other versions of the story, the pigs just ran to the next house. Well, this is another version of the story, and it's called the true story of the three little pigs by a wolf. So I wonder what a wolf would have to say about what happened with the true story of the three little pigs. So let's read this story. The true story of the three little pigs. Everybody knows the story of the three little pigs, or at least they think they do. But I'll let you in on a little secret. Nobody knows the real story, because nobody has ever heard my side of the story. I'm the wolf, Alexander T. Wolf. You can call me Al. I don't know how this whole big bad wolf thing got started, but it's all wrong. Maybe it's because of our diet. Hey, it's not my fault wolves eat cute little animals like bunnies, sheep, and pigs. That's just the way we are. If cheeseburgers were cute, folks would probably think you were a big bad too. But like I was saying, the whole big bad wolf thing is all wrong. The real story is about a sneeze and a cup of sugar. It says sneeze plus sugar. Sneeze plus sugar. This is the real story. Way back in once upon a time, I was making a birthday cake for my dear old granny. I had a terrible sneezing cold. I ran out of sugar. Oh, do you see what's in this cake? So I walked down the street to ask my neighbor for a cup of sugar. Now this neighbor was a pig, and he wasn't too bright either. That means he wasn't too smart. He had built his whole house out of straw. Can you believe it? I mean, who in his right mind would build a house out of straw? So, of course, the minute I knocked on the door, it fell right in. I didn't want to just walk into someone else's house, so I called, little pig, are you in? No answer. I was just about to go home without a cup of sugar for my dear old granny's birthday cake. That's when my nose started to itch. I felt a sneeze coming on. Well, I huffed and I snuffed. And I sneezed a great sneeze. And then what happened to the house? And you know what? The whole darn straw house fell down. And right in the middle of the pile of straw was the first little pig, dead as a doornail. He had been home the whole time. It seemed like a shame to leave a perfectly good ham dinner lying there in the straw, so I ate it up. Think of it as a big cheeseburger just lying there. Do you think the wolf is being honest? I don't know. I was feeling a little better, but I still didn't have my cup of sugar. So I went to the next neighbor's house. This neighbor was the first little pig's brother. He was a little smarter, but not much. He had built his house out of sticks. I rang the bell on the stick house. Nobody answered. I called, "Mr. Pig, are you in?" He yelled back, "Go away, wolf. You can't come in. I'm shaving the hairs on my chinny chin chin." He's shaving. I had just grabbed the doorknob when I felt another sneeze coming on. I huffed and I snuffed and I tried to cover my mouth, but I sneezed a great sneeze. And you're not going to believe it, but this guy's house fell down just like its brother's. When the dust cleared, there was a second little pig, dead as a doornail. Wolf's honor. That means that he promised the pig was just sitting there, just dead. I don't know about this. Now you know food will spoil if you just leave it out in the open. So I did the only thing there was to do. I had dinner again. Think of it as second helpings. I was getting awfully full, but my cold was feeling a little better, and I still didn't have that cup of sugar for my dear old granny's birthday cake. So I went to the next house. This guy was the first and second pig's brother. He must have been the brains of the family. He had built his house of bricks. I knocked on the brick house. No answer. I called, "Mr. Pig, are you in?" And do you know what that rude little porker answered? "Get out of here, wolf. Don't bother me again." Talk about impolite. He probably had a whole sack full of sugar, and he wouldn't give me even one little cup for my dear sweet old granny's birthday cake. What a pig. I was just about to go home and maybe make a nice birthday card instead of a cake when I felt my cold coming on. I huffed and I snuffed and I sneezed once again. Then the third little pig yelled, "And your old granny can sit on a pin." Ooh, you can see the pig in there. Now, I'm usually a pretty calm fellow, but when somebody talks about my granny like that, I go a little crazy. When the cops drove up, I was trying to break down this pig's door, and the whole time I was huffing and puffing and sneezing and making a real scene. The rest, as they say, is history. Big bad wolf. A.T. Wolf, big and bad. So he's saying he's not really a big bad wolf. It was just a misunderstanding. The news reporters found out about the 2 pigs I had for dinner. They figured a sick guy going to borrow a cup of sugar didn't sound very exciting, so they jazzed up the story with all that huff and puff and blow your house down, and they made me the big bad wolf. That's it, the real story. I was framed. But maybe you could loan me a cup of sugar. And that is the end. I think that says pig pen or pig penny. I don't know. So what I want you to do, I want you to write your own version of the story. So I want you to pretend like you were witnessing the wolf go to the different houses and you saw all of this happen. And I want you to write a newspaper article. So you can just type it up in Class Dojo, or if you want to go all out and make like one on a sheet of paper and draw little pictures of everything that happened, whichever one you want to do, you can do that. And I want you to tell me what you think, what your side of the story is, what you think actually happened. And I want you to report it like a newspaper reporter. Okay? And when you get that done, I want you to either put it on Google Classroom or Class Dojo, whichever one you can get to. Or if you would rather, I would like you to take an AR test on this story because it is an AR book. Yes. So I would like you to take an AR test on it. Or you could do both if you want to do both. Remember, you only have to do one activity from this week. So you could do the AR test, or you could do the newspaper article, or you could do any of the other activities from any of the other videos. Other than that, guys, make sure that you wash your hands, especially after hearing this story about all the sneezing that happened. We have to make sure that we stay healthy and we stay safe. So we have to wash our hands so we don't catch all these germs. He wasn't even covering his mouth. If he was covering his mouth, then he wouldn't have knocked down all those houses, would he? So anyway, make sure you wash your hands. Listen to your parents because they are very wise, and I promise you that they have some very good advice. Other than that, guys, have a wonderful day. I will catch you guys next time. Bye! Wash your hands.